I just wanted to win. But what I got instead was betrayal, fear, and the loss of everything I thought I valued. I never thought I'd get into cryptocurrency. The idea of digital money floating in cyberspace seemed almost surreal, a playground for tech wizards and day traders, not regular people like me. But in late 2021, when a friend casually mentioned how someone he knew had made a fortune off crypto, my curiosity piqued. It wasn't greed exactly, but the idea of a shortcut to financial freedom was tantalizing. Who wouldn't want to escape the endless grind and achieve the kind of life where money wasn't a daily worry? For weeks, I tiptoed around the edges of the crypto world. I read blogs, watched tutorials, and even set up my first wallet. It felt overwhelming at first. All the jargon, the risk warnings, the dizzying swings in value. But there was a kind of thrill to it too. Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins. I couldn't quite shake the sense that I was peering into the future. I still hadn't made any major moves, though. To be honest, I was nervous. Losing money felt like a real possibility, and I didn't have much to spare. That's when I stumbled across the ad. It popped up while I was scrolling through a crypto forum one evening, sandwiched between threads about trading tips and stories of insane losses. The banner was sleek and flashy, with bold text screaming, "Win $50,000 in cryptocurrency. Enter the contest of a lifetime, completely free." The offer seemed too good to pass up. The page promised that anyone could participate, regardless of experience, and all I needed to do was sign up. The website looked professional, complete with a countdown timer ticking ominously. Only 72 hours left to register, I clicked. The contest concept was simple, or at least it seemed that way. Participants would compete in a series of challenges designed to test their knowledge, creativity, and strategy within the crypto space. You didn't need to be a pro, you just had to be willing to dive in and give it your all. Grand prize? $50,000 in Bitcoin, directly deposited into the winner's wallet. Smaller prizes were up for grabs too, everything from gift cards to exclusive NFTs. It felt exciting. Almost too exciting. Something about it gave me pause. Maybe it was the overly polished marketing or the fact that the rules seemed intentionally vague. The terms and conditions section was long and legalese heavy, and I couldn't make much sense of it. I remember thinking, should I even trust this? But then the other part of me, the part tired of living paycheck to paycheck, pushed back. This could be my chance to finally get ahead. And besides, it was free. What did I have to lose? I registered that same night. To join, I had to provide basic details: name, email address, and a wallet ID for receiving potential winnings. The form also asked a few odd questions, like my level of experience in crypto trading and whether I'd ever participated in blockchain development. I hesitated at the last step, agreeing to a clause about the contest organizers having the right to use participant submissions for promotional purposes. It sounded innocuous, but something about it lingered in my mind. Still, I hit submit. The confirmation email arrived seconds later. It was warm, professional, and even a little encouraging. Congratulations, your name. You're officially entered into the crypto contest of a lifetime. The first challenge will be emailed to you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get ready to show the world your crypto skills. I remember feeling a flicker of excitement. I was in. The next morning, the first challenge arrived right on time. The email laid out a straightforward task: create a short blog post about the future of blockchain technology. Submissions would be judged based on creativity and originality. The deadline was tight, just 24 hours, but I wasn't fazed. If anything, I liked the pressure. I poured all my energy into crafting a clever, well-researched piece. When I hit submit, I felt a pang of pride. A few days later, I received another email. Congratulations, you've advanced to round 2. The second challenge was a bit more complex. Participants had to solve a cryptographic puzzle using an online blockchain simulator. This time I struggled. The tools were unfamiliar, and the instructions weren't exactly user-friendly. But after hours of tinkering and Googling, I cracked it. Another submission, another sense of accomplishment. The rounds continued, each more intricate than the last. At first, everything seemed legitimate, just a fun, well-organized contest aimed at crypto enthusiasts. But as I progressed, I started noticing small cracks in the facade. For one, communication from the organizers became oddly inconsistent. Some emails were professionally worded, while others were riddled with typos and formatting errors. Then there was the leaderboard, which was supposedly updated in real time, but often froze or displayed wildly fluctuating scores. I remember thinking, shouldn't a crypto contest be tech-savvy? By the fourth round, things took an even stranger turn. Contestants were asked to join a private Discord server for exclusive tips and updates. The server was active, but the discussions felt off. Some participants shared generic advice, but others seemed cryptic, almost scripted. And then there were the moderators, who rarely answered questions directly. Instead, they often redirected queries to a vaguely titled FAQ document that barely clarified anything. Despite the oddities, I pushed forward. I had already invested so much time and effort, and part of me felt too stubborn to quit. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The final round arrived 2 weeks later, and with it came an unsettling request. Contestants had to transfer a small amount of crypto, just $500, to a secure wallet as proof of their commitment. The email insisted this was standard procedure and would be refunded after the contest ended. Alarm bells blared in my mind. Why did they need money now? Hadn't this been advertised as free? I hesitated, but the countdown timer loomed at the top of the email. If I didn't act, I'd forfeit my chance at the grand prize. And so, against my better judgment, I sent the payment. It was the worst decision of my life. The first few days of the contest were exhilarating. After clearing the initial rounds, I felt like I was getting into a rhythm. Each challenge pushed me to learn more about crypto, whether it was writing thought-provoking pieces or solving complex puzzles. It wasn't easy, but it was rewarding, at least at first. The leaderboard showed me climbing higher with each round, and I was starting to believe I could actually win this thing. The tasks weren't just technical. They were crafted to feel immersive and engaging. One challenge asked participants to pitch their ideal blockchain application. Another had us simulate trading in a sandbox exchange to see who could achieve the highest returns in a day. Every task was designed to test creativity, problem-solving, and strategy. I loved the competitive edge of it all, and the organizers' sleek emails added to the allure. They'd send congratulatory messages for completing tasks, with motivational lines like, "You're proving yourself among the best. Keep going." The emails were often accompanied by polished graphics and countdown timers for the next round, reminding us that time was of the essence. For the first week, everything seemed flawless. But as I progressed further, I started noticing things that didn't quite add up. The first crack in the contest's perfect facade was a broken link. After completing round 3, I received an email with instructions for the next stage. It included a link to access a secure dashboard where I was supposed to upload my submission. Clicking it led to a dead page with a generic error message. At first, I brushed it off. Technical glitches happen. But as I scrolled through the Discord server, I saw that others were complaining about the same issue. Strangely, the moderators seemed completely unbothered. Instead of addressing the problem directly, they copy-pasted a generic reply. "Please try again. If the issue persists, contact support." Support didn't help much either. Their email responses were slow and felt automated, with canned phrases like, "Thank you for your patience while we resolve this issue." Eventually, the link started working again, but the whole incident left a sour taste in my mouth. If this contest was so professional, why were the basics slipping through the cracks? As the contest went on, I noticed something peculiar about some of the other participants. While many users on the leaderboard had normal usernames like Crypto Sam or Blockchain Queen, there were others with cryptic, almost robotic names, strings of letters and numbers like XZ54KP or A10 Crypto. These accounts consistently ranked near the top, but they never interacted in the Discord server. No congratulatory messages, no banter, nothing. When people asked about them, the moderators dismissed the questions with vague comments like, "All participants are legitimate and vetted." One night, out of curiosity, I decided to message one of them directly. I reached out to XZ54KP with a simple, "Hey, congrats on making it to the finals. How are you finding the contest?" To my surprise, they replied almost immediately, "Thank you, I am enjoying it. Something about their response felt off. The phrasing was stiff, like it had been generated by a chatbot. I replied, asking about their favorite challenge so far, but the conversation abruptly ended. No response. It was unsettling, but I told myself not to overthink it. The turning point came during round 5 when I received a private message from another contestant. Their username was Shadow Crypto, and their message was brief but cryptic. "This isn't what it seems. Get out while you can." I stared at the screen, unsure how to respond. Was this a joke? A troll? Or something more serious? I typed back, "What do you mean? What's going on?" No reply. I searched the Discord server for their username, but it had vanished. It was as if they'd never existed. I even scoured the leaderboard for any trace of Shadow Crypto, but they weren't listed there either. The message rattled me. Was someone trying to mess with me? Or had I stumbled into something I didn't fully understand? From that point on, the contest didn't feel exciting anymore. It felt eerie. The challenges became harder, but the instructions grew more ambiguous. One task involved analyzing a blockchain ledger for irregularities, but the dataset provided was incomplete. Contestants flooded the Discord server with questions, but the moderator's responses were vague and contradictory. Some contestants began to drop out, citing frustrations with the lack of clarity. One person posted, "This contest is starting to feel like a scam. I'm out." Minutes later, their message was deleted, and their account was banned. This heavy-handed moderation only added to the growing sense of unease. The server, once buzzing with camaraderie and excitement, became tense and quiet. People were afraid to ask questions, let alone voice concerns. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong. Late one night, I decided to dig deeper. I Googled the contest's name, the organizers, and anything else I could think of. Most of the results were generic: promotional posts, glowing reviews, and a few forum threads hyping up the event. But buried on page 3 of the search results, I found something chilling. It was a blog post from months earlier, written by someone who claimed to have entered a similar contest. Their story sounded eerily familiar: flashy promises, inconsistent communication, and contestants mysteriously disappearing from leaderboards. The post ended with a stark warning: "If you're reading this, stop participating. They don't just take your money, they take everything." I felt a shiver run down my spine. Was this the same contest under a different name? Had I been lured into a trap? Still, part of me didn't want to believe it. I rationalized that the blog post could have been written by someone bitter about losing, or maybe it was just an elaborate hoax. But deep down, I couldn't deny the growing knot of dread in my stomach. The last straw came when the contest organizers announced a surprise bonus challenge. The task seemed straightforward. Participants were asked to verify their identities by uploading a photo of themselves holding a handwritten sign with their wallet address. Something about this felt deeply wrong. Why did they suddenly need personal photos? And why the handwritten wallet address? It seemed excessive, even invasive. I hesitated, debating whether to continue. But before I could decide, I received another message. This time, it wasn't from a contestant. It was an email from the organizers. "We noticed you haven't submitted your verification yet. Failure to comply will result in disqualification." The tone was cold, almost threatening. I felt trapped. If I backed out now, everything I'd worked for would be wasted. But if I continued, I'd be giving them more information, more power. I wish I could say I made the smart choice. I wish I could say I trusted my gut and walked away. But in that moment, greed, pride, and curiosity outweighed my better judgment. I uploaded the photo, and that's when the nightmare truly began. The contest was moving faster than I expected. After weeks of relentless challenges, I was one of the few left standing. The leaderboard, once cluttered with hundreds of names, had narrowed to just 20. Somehow, I was ranked 3rd. Seeing my name that high gave me a surge of pride, even though I couldn't fully shake the unease I'd felt since the warning from Shadow Crypto. The email came late one evening, right as I was about to shut my laptop. It was from the contest organizers, congratulating me on reaching the finals. The subject line read, "Finalists confirmed. Your journey to $50,000 begins now." The body of the email was equally grandiose, with phrases like, You're among the elite, and the crypto world is watching your brilliance unfold. For a moment, I let myself bask in the achievement. I'd made it. All my late nights, the frustration of deciphering cryptic challenges, the endless hours of research, it had all paid off. But then I noticed something odd. The email ended with an unexpected instruction. Finalists were required to validate their accounts by sending a small commitment fee of $500 to a designated wallet address. It was described as a necessary measure to ensure the integrity of the competition, and we were assured the funds would be returned in full at the end of the contest. I frowned, reading it over again. This hadn't been mentioned before. Why would they need $500 now, so late in the process? And why the sudden emphasis on integrity? I opened the Discord server, hoping to find some clarity. The chat was buzzing with excitement, but when someone asked about the fee, the moderators responded almost instantly. This is a standard procedure in high-stakes competitions. It separates the serious contenders from those who aren't fully committed. That explanation didn't sit right with me. Why would someone get this far in the contest if they weren't serious? Still, the other contestants seemed unfazed. Several of them had already posted screenshots of their transactions, confirming they'd sent the $500. My gut told me to walk away, but then I glanced at the leaderboard again. I was so close, and $500 wasn't a small amount for me, but compared to the $50,000 grand prize, it felt like a calculated risk. Before making any decisions, I decided to dig deeper into the contest. I started by searching the organizers' names and the contest itself, hoping to find reviews or more background information. What I found was sparse and strange. There were glowing reviews, mostly from small crypto blogs and influencers with questionable credibility. They all seemed to echo the same talking points. This contest is changing lives, and the best opportunity for crypto enthusiasts in 2024. The wording was eerily similar across different posts, almost as if they'd all been written by the same person. Then I stumbled upon a thread buried deep in a crypto forum. It was written by someone who claimed to have participated in a similar contest the year before. Their account was unsettling. The challenges started off fun, but by the final round things felt off. The organizers demanded a fee to continue, promising it was refundable. After I paid, the contest ended abruptly. The website shut down, the Discord server vanished, and my wallet was drained of not just the fee, but everything else I'd stored there. My hands froze on the keyboard. Was this the same group, just operating under a new name? The similarities were uncanny. I scrolled through the replies, hoping to find a resolution to the story, but the thread ended there. The author never followed up. I was still reeling from what I'd read when I decided to check the contest's wallet address, the one they'd asked us to send the $500 to. Using a blockchain explorer, I pulled up its transaction history. What I saw made my stomach churn. The wallet wasn't just receiving $500 deposits from contestants. It was connected to a web of other wallets, all of which had suspiciously large withdrawals. Hundreds of thousands of dollars had been funneled out over the past few months, split between multiple addresses before disappearing into the digital void. It looked like classic money laundering. I dug deeper, tracing the transactions as far back as I could. That's when I noticed something truly chilling. Several of the wallets linked to this contest's account had been flagged in online forums as being part of crypto scams. One thread even referred to them as part of a larger phantom syndicate, a shadowy group allegedly responsible for dozens of high-profile crypto frauds. My mind raced. Was I part of their next scam? I closed the blockchain explorer and stared blankly at my screen. Every instinct screamed at me to back out, to cut my losses and walk away. But I couldn't ignore the stakes. What if I was wrong? What if this contest really was legitimate and I was throwing away a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because of paranoia? I decided to turn to someone else for advice. I messaged one of the contestants I'd been chatting with, a user named Crypto Savvy, who seemed friendly and grounded. "Hey, have you sent the $500 yet?" I typed. Their response came quickly. "Not yet. I'm feeling a little uneasy about it." I told them about the wallet addresses I'd traced and the shady forum threads. There was a long pause before they replied. "That's concerning, but I don't think we should panic. Maybe we're just overthinking it." Their words didn't comfort me. If anything, they made me more anxious. The next day, I received another email from the contest organizers. This one was shorter, less polished. Reminder: finalists must submit their $500 commitment fee by 11:59 p.m. tonight to avoid disqualification. The tone was blunt, almost threatening. Gone were the motivational phrases and sleek graphics. It felt like a cold demand. I opened the Discord server again. The moderators were bombarding the chat with messages like, "Remember, you've come too far to stop now. Secure your spot. And this is your chance to make crypto history." I noticed that several names on the leaderboard had disappeared. When I asked about it, a moderator replied, "Those who fail to follow the rules are disqualified. Let's focus on the finalists who are committed." Their words felt wrong, rehearsed. As the deadline loomed, I sat at my desk, staring at my wallet app. My cursor hovered over the send button. $500 wasn't just money. It was trust. And I didn't know if these people deserved it. Finally, against my better judgment, I clicked send. I told myself it was worth the risk, that I'd come too far to quit now, that all the warning signs were just coincidences, not proof. But deep down, I knew I'd just made a terrible mistake. Within minutes of sending the payment, I received an email confirming my validation. The organizers thanked me for my commitment and promised that the final challenge details would arrive soon. But they never did. Instead, my wallet was drained. Not just the $500, but everything I had stored there. My balance was wiped clean. And then the contest disappeared. The website went offline. The Discord server was deleted. Emails to the support team bounced back as undeliverable. It was as if the entire operation had never existed. I had been scammed. The sense of unease had been building for days, but nothing could have prepared me for what came next. The contest had transformed from an exciting challenge into a chaotic web of confusion and suspicion. And now, I was beginning to see the cracks, no, the chasms, that ran through its foundation. After sending the $500 commitment fee, I thought I'd feel relief, maybe even satisfaction. Instead, I felt hollow. The usual congratulatory email came, but it was brief and clinical, without the fanfare that had accompanied previous messages. Something about its tone felt rushed, almost dismissive. Still, I tried to convince myself that everything was fine. I was overthinking things. If this were a scam, wouldn't it have fallen apart by now? And yet, the nagging voice in the back of my mind wouldn't stop whispering, "Something's wrong." The first real blow came a day later. I woke up to an email marked urgent from the contest organizers. It stated that finalists were required to complete one last step to remain eligible: submit their crypto wallet's private key for verification. My stomach sank. For anyone unfamiliar, a private key is the most sensitive piece of information for any crypto wallet. It's what allows someone full access to your funds. Sharing it with anyone is equivalent to handing over the keys to your bank account. The email claimed that this was a routine security measure to ensure no fraud was taking place among finalists. I stared at the screen, disbelief quickly giving way to anger. This wasn't just suspicious, it was outright malicious. No legitimate crypto organization would ever ask for a private key. It was the kind of red flag you read about in scam prevention guides, a textbook example of what not to trust. I immediately replied to the email, my frustration boiling over. This request is unacceptable. No ethical contest would require participants to share their private keys. Please clarify this demand, or I'll withdraw my participation. The response came faster than I expected, but it wasn't what I hoped for. Instead of an explanation, the email was blunt and chilling. Once you're in, there's no backing out. Submit your key or face disqualification and other consequences. Other consequences? A cold shiver ran down my spine. The email felt like a threat, plain and simple. My hands hovered over the keyboard as 1,000 thoughts raced through my mind. Were they bluffing? What exactly could they do to me if I refused? I decided to take a stand. If they wanted my private key, they weren't getting it. I sent another email, this time firmly stating that I would not comply with their request. Then, I logged out of the contest platform and the Discord server, determined to cut all ties. I thought that was the end of it. That night, I realized how wrong I was. It started with a phone call. The number was unfamiliar, but it had the same area code as my own, so I picked up. "Hello?" At first, there was nothing but static. Then a voice emerged, deep, distorted, and unnervingly calm. Walking away is a mistake. You should have played along. I froze. Who is this? The line went dead. I stared at my phone, heart pounding. Had they just called me? How had they even gotten my number? Then I remembered. When I'd registered for the contest, I'd been asked to fill out a detailed profile. It wasn't just my email and wallet address. I'd also shared my phone number and even some personal details about my crypto experience. At the time, it had seemed harmless, just part of the process. Now I felt sick. What else did they know about me? The emails started shortly after. They weren't from the contest's official account, but from anonymous, untraceable senders. The messages were short, cryptic, and increasingly unsettling. We see you. Run all you want. You can't hide. People who break the rules pay the price. The worst part wasn't just the content. It was the timing. The emails arrived at odd hours, sometimes minutes apart, as if someone were watching me in real time. Then came the photos. The first image was of my house, taken from the street. The second was closer, as if the photographer had been standing right in my front yard. Both were attached to an email that simply read, "We're closer than you think." I couldn't sleep that night. Every sound outside my window made me jump. I kept replaying everything in my head, trying to figure out how this had escalated so quickly. How had I gone from solving crypto puzzles to fearing for my safety? By morning, I'd made a decision. I had to report this. I called the police and explained the situation as best I could without sounding insane. The officer on the other end was polite but skeptical. When I mentioned crypto and online contests, his tone shifted, growing colder. "Sounds like you got scammed," he said bluntly. "Not much we can do about it." I tried to explain that this wasn't just about money, that I was being harassed and possibly stalked. He took my information but didn't sound optimistic. "Online scams like this are hard to trace," he said. "Just lay low and let us know if it escalates." Lay low? How was I supposed to lay low when these people had my personal information? Feeling helpless, I turned to a friend in the tech world, someone who knew more about cybersecurity than I did. He agreed to help me trace the emails and phone calls, but his findings only made things worse. "The emails are bouncing through multiple servers," he said. "Whoever's behind this knows what they're doing. And the phone number? It's spoofed. There's no way to track it." I asked him what I should do, and his response was grim. "Cut ties. Change your email, your phone number. Hell, even your address if you can. These people sound serious." Over the next few days, I did everything I could to erase my digital presence. I deleted my crypto wallets, deactivated my accounts, and even wiped my social media profiles. But no matter how much I tried to disappear, they didn't let up. The phone calls continued, always from different numbers. The emails grew more graphic, with veiled threats and gruesome language. One night, I thought I saw someone outside my window, a shadowy figure lingering just beyond the streetlight. By the time I worked up the courage to look again, they were gone. I called the police again, but they were dismissive. Without concrete evidence, there was little they could do. The final straw came a week later. I received a package on my doorstep with no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper with one line scrawled across it. "We warned you." Beneath the note was a USB drive. I didn't dare plug it into my computer. I didn't need to. Just holding it made me feel like I was holding a bomb. That was it. I packed a bag, locked my doors, and drove to a friend's house in another state. I didn't tell anyone where I was going, not even my closest friends. I needed to vanish, to escape whatever nightmare I'd stumbled into. I thought I could leave it all behind. I thought that if I cut every connection, wiped my digital presence, and disappeared into the quiet refuge of my friend's house miles away, I'd finally be free. But I was wrong. The morning after I arrived at my friend Lisa's home, the first pangs of reality began to set in. I had abandoned everything, my apartment, my belongings, my crypto accounts, all in a desperate bid to escape. I didn't even tell Lisa the full story, just enough to make her sympathetic. I got tangled up in something online and now I need to lay low. She didn't ask too many questions, thankfully. She could sense the fear in my voice, the weight of whatever I was carrying. The first real blow came when I logged into my backup crypto wallet. one I hadn't connected to the contest. At least I was sure I hadn't. My stomach dropped as I stared at the balance. 0. The attackers had found it. Every coin, every token I'd worked so hard to accumulate over the past year, was gone. I felt the air leave my lungs as the realization hit. They hadn't just scammed me for the contest fee. They had access to everything. But how? I was careful, or at least I thought I had been. My passwords were secure. I'd avoided phishing links. Had they gotten in through the contest registration? The thought made my skin crawl. Every piece of information I'd handed over, email, phone number, wallet address, was a door I'd unwittingly opened for them. I tried to call my wallet provider for help, but there was nothing they could do. Crypto transactions, once confirmed, were irreversible. The funds were gone, scattered across dozens of accounts, their trail as cold as the empty void in my stomach. But it wasn't just the money. Even in Lisa's quiet guest room, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the house, every distant car horn outside, set my nerves on edge. I started locking the bedroom door at night, a habit I hadn't needed before. The emails had stopped, but the silence was somehow worse. It felt like they were watching, waiting for me to let my guard down. The thought of returning to my normal life felt impossible. I'd been uprooted, displaced, not just physically but emotionally. And then came the dreams. Every night I found myself trapped in variations of the same nightmare. I'd be sitting at my computer staring at the contest website when suddenly the screen would flicker. The polished logo would dissolve, replaced by a shadowy face staring back at me. Its mouth would move, but no sound came out, until it leaned closer and whispered, "We're still here." I'd wake up drenched in sweat, gasping for air, my pulse racing like I'd just run a marathon. In moments of lucidity, I tried to piece together what had happened. Who were these people? Was it just a group of opportunistic scammers, or something more? The scale of their operation, the sophistication of the emails, the tracking, the web of wallets, felt far too complex for an ordinary scam. And then, there were the contestants. The usernames I'd seen on the leaderboard, the robotic accounts, the ones that never interacted, lingered in my mind. Were they real people, or just fabricated props to lend legitimacy to the contest? And what about Shadow Crypto, the user who'd warned me to get out? Had they been another victim? Or worse, part of the scam, playing their own sinister role in the game? The questions swirled endlessly, each one more unsettling than the last. For a week, nothing happened. No emails, no phone calls, no ominous packages on the doorstep. Slowly, I began to let myself believe that it was over. Lisa encouraged me to go outside, to get some air and reset. She didn't press me for details, but her concern was clear. "You can't stay cooped up forever," she said one afternoon, placing a warm cup of tea in front of me. "Whatever it is, it can't keep you hiding like this." I nodded, though I didn't feel ready. The first time I ventured out, it was just to a nearby park. The crisp autumn air was refreshing, but every stranger I passed felt like a threat. My eyes scanned for anything unusual. A car parked too long, a person lingering too close. My paranoia turned every innocent moment into a potential danger. The silence shattered 3 days later. I was sitting on Lisa's couch, scrolling through job listings on her laptop, when her doorbell rang. She went to answer it while I stayed behind, trying to focus on the screen. It's for you," she called out. Her tone was hesitant, cautious. I walked to the door, my heart already pounding. Lisa handed me a small package no bigger than a book. It had no return address, just my name scrawled on the front in jagged black ink. "Do you know who sent it?" she asked, her voice tight with concern. I shook my head. Back in the guest room, I opened it carefully, half expecting it to explode in my face. Inside was a single sheet of paper. The message was brief. "Did you think we wouldn't find you?" My hands trembled as I turned the paper over, hoping for some clue, some explanation. But there was nothing else, just those words taunting me. That night I received one last email. It came from a new address, one I didn't recognize but somehow immediately knew was connected to them. The subject line read, "We're not done." The body of the email was short, just a single line of text. "You'll be hearing from us soon." I stared at the screen, every muscle in my body frozen. My first instinct was to delete it, to pretend I hadn't seen it. But I couldn't. This was their way of reminding me that no matter how far I ran, no matter how carefully I hid, they could still reach me. The days that followed were a blur. Lisa offered to let me stay longer, but I knew I couldn't keep dragging her into this. Whoever these people were, they had no limits, no boundaries. So I left. I packed a small bag, changed my phone number, and deleted every account I had left. I became a ghost, slipping into a life of anonymity. But even in the quiet moments, the shadows lingered. I lost more than just money to that contest. I lost my sense of safety, my trust in others, and my peace of mind. Every email I receive, every unknown number that calls me, brings a flicker of fear. Even now, I find myself glancing over my shoulder, searching for faces I'll never recognize but always dread. The contest may be over, but the haunting continues. If you've made it this far, take this as a warning. Not every opportunity is what it seems. In the world of cryptocurrency, where anonymity and technology can mask the darkest intentions, scams like the one I experienced are more common than you think. Before you enter any contest, trade, or platform, do your research. Investigate who's behind it, verify their legitimacy, and listen to your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. No potential prize is worth your peace of mind or your safety. But this isn't just my story. Crypto contests, fraudulent schemes, and phishing attacks have become the new face of modern scams. Have you ever encountered a crypto scam or a contest that felt suspicious? Let's make the comments section a space to share and learn from each other's experiences. Your story might save someone else from making the same mistakes I did. If you want more content about the hidden risks of crypto, personal finance, and staying safe online, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Every story shared, every tip uncovered, helps someone out there navigate this murky world a little more safely. Remember, no amount of money is worth your security. Stay smart, stay vigilant, and always trust your gut. As I sit here sharing this story, I wonder, what if this is just the beginning? What if their next email, their next call, is already on its way? Let my experience be a lesson. The dangers of the crypto world aren't just financial. Sometimes they leave scars far deeper than an empty wallet. If you've ever felt the pull of a too-good-to-be-true opportunity, stop. Think. Ask yourself, is it worth the risk? Stay safe, because the shadows I saw, they're still out there, waiting for their next target. And trust me, you don't want it to be you.